It's been 4 years since this North York community was completely shaken by a disturbing act of violence that the city has never seen before. And today, an online vigil was held for the victims of the Yonge Street van attack with the message that while this community is still healing, they will not be defined by what happened.
As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now part of us as we remember them.
It's a dark day that will forever be etched in the history of Toronto. April 23rd, 2018.
We do not forget. We remember the victims, families, and all those who were impacted.
It was exactly 4 years ago today when Alec Manassian rented a white van, drove it southbound along Yonge Street from Finch, and deliberately struck 26 victims. 10 people, 8 women and 2 men, died on that day. 2 other women who were struck also died from their injuries a few years later, while the other victims are living with life-altering injuries. The small vigil saw a moment of silence and a reading of the victims' names.
Beatrice Renuka Amarasin, Andrea Nethelik Braden, Geraldine Brady, So Hee Chung, Anne Marie D'Amico, Mary Elizabeth Forsyth, Chul Min Kang, Ji Hun King, Manir Kajar, Dorothy Siwa, and of course Amaresh Tesfamarian.
Mayor John Tory took part in the vigil, which streamed on a Willowdale community Facebook page. He says while the city was profoundly impacted by the tragedy, Toronto is not broken.
That day represented perhaps a coming to terms for us of the fact that it could happen here, because it did. It had its roots in misogyny and hatred of women, which is something that we wouldn't have said would manifest itself in that way here. And so it just, I think, redoubles our resolve to push back on that and to make sure that the root causes of things like this don't allow themselves to have their head, the ugly heads reared again.
Tragedy does not have to define who we are. And it does not have to be the only reason that connects us. We connect to celebrate people who step up to help strangers.
The murderer, Alec Manassian, was found guilty of 10 counts of first-degree murder and 16 counts of attempted murder. He is scheduled to be sentenced on June 13th. Here at Mel Lastman Square, a temporary memorial is set up for the victims. Those in the community are welcome to come down and pay their respects. Now, Mayor John Tory says the goal is to create a permanent memorial in consultation with the victims' families and the community. Melissa Nakavali, City News.